Hey guys, Esti-Fit Chick here. So today I wanted to tell you a little bit about my story with fitness, where I come from, my background, my body type. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the three body types. Now most of the time people are a mixture of the body types. They're not stuck in one category. So what everybody I think wanted to be when we were younger, or one thing that I've always envied, is the ectomorph. These people naturally have a high metabolism, so they can eat and eat and eat and not gain any weight. So I've always been envious of that because I put something in my mouth, or I even look at a cheeseburger and I gain weight. So lucky them for that. The not so lucky part of being an ectomorph is that they have a hard time gaining muscle. So they have a hard time putting that muscle on and maintaining it. They have to eat really high calorie in order to do so. And they also have a smaller build. So their bones, their muscle structure is usually small, and they have like long, stringy muscles. So their struggles are going to be gaining that mass. They can eat a lot more though, so lucky them for that. But one downside of that as well is a lot of times they get full easily, so it might be hard for them to consume all of those calories. And they still would want to keep it clean and eating so that way their body is getting the right sort of nutrients. Then there is the endomorph, which is where I fall more into that category. Now the endomorph, they hold fat a lot quicker. They just hold on to it. Their body doesn't want to let go of it. They have a hard time shedding the weight, so they're going to be needing to do a lot more cardio, whereas ectomorph is going to want to avoid cardio unless they do hit cardio. So endomorph definitely want to do some cardio. There is individual training for each type of body that's going to benefit you the most. Everybody is different for all things, so that's one of the reasons why. Now with endomorphs, they're going to be able to gain muscle as well, more so than the ectomorph, but not as much as the mesomorph, which is in the middle. Now the mesomorph, that's kind of what everybody wants to be. That's going to be like your athletic people, the people you see in the gym who are just built and cut, and everybody wants to be that. Those are your natural athletes. Now everybody is usually a combination. They're not set into one. So I'm an endomesomorph. I definitely do have mesomorph qualities in myself. I have the broad shoulders. I do build muscle pretty quickly, which is nice, but the endomorph portion of me, I hold on to fat as well. So I have to be really careful, and I'm very carb sensitive. Mesomorphs, I don't think there's anyone who's a strict mesomorph. Like I said, everyone kind of falls into a mixture of the categories, but that would be the ideal body type for somebody who wants to be in bodybuilding and fitness, or an athlete, because their body is just naturally going to shed the fat quicker than an endomorph would, but also be able to gain that muscle like an ectomorph would struggle with. So that's a quick overview of that. You can always research more about those, and it's good to know what type of body you have. There are different characteristics for each of them. So like I said, I'm an endomesomorph. If you were to look at all of my family, we all tend to be more heavy set. It's just the genes that I was given. Looking back to when I was a kid in school, I always thought I was fat, and I was lean at the time, but it's because my bone structure was bigger than everybody else. So I always just felt like huge around other kids. And I was in soccer, so my dad used to say that he used to be able to do this to my thigh, and then a couple years into soccer, my thighs were really big. So again, with my body type, I gained that muscle really quickly, and I was just bigger than other kids. So like I said, at the time I thought that I was fat, and looking back I was like, wow, I was really lean. Like, I wish I could go back to that, but I guess we just don't appreciate it at the time. We are our hardest critics. So I was pretty lean. I stayed active when I was younger. I was in soccer. I had tons of cousins, so I was always out playing. I swam all of the time. Just a very active child. So that helped me to stay lean when I was younger. Now, when I was in high school, started to go through changes, as we all do with puberty, and that's when I started to gain some weight. As I mentioned in one of my other videos, I struggled with acne and ovarian cysts, so I was put on birth control. And with birth control, I gained like 50 pounds over a short amount of time. It was really upsetting, very depressing. And I remember my mom, she had just bought me school clothes, and then it's like 3 months later I had to go out and get all new clothes because none of my clothes fit, and there wasn't much that I had control over. And it actually kind of led into a cycle of being upset that I was gaining weight, so then I was eating poorly. I didn't want to be active because I was embarrassed to be in front of other kids. So it was just a big cycle. So it's important to love yourself and not fall into the depression and getting upset because you're just gonna basically dig yourself deeper in. I didn't know any better, and my family wasn't really active. So I wasn't raised in like a fit type family, so I didn't really have the resources that I needed or really the support in that aspect to lose the weight. So when I got around 19, I was working out at a fitness center, kind of like the YMCA, but it was just, it was called the Croc Center. It was where they have like the recreation, Parks and Rec, they had a membership. So I got that there. It was affordable for me. I used to work out 7 days a week for like 2 to 3 hours. And still, I wasn't losing fat. I mean, I was gaining muscle, but I wasn't losing fat because I wasn't knowledgeable about how I should be eating. And I tried to make what I thought were healthy eating choices, but I just didn't have the knowledge that I needed, and I didn't have people around me who were knowledgeable about it. Then one day I was driving to work when I was either 19 or 20, and I saw this sign on the back of a truck that said like, lose weight, call here. So I called the number, and there was a really nice lady named Rose, and I met with her, and she sold Herbalife. So that's the first thing that I tried. Initially, I didn't really lose anything, but I kept with it, and she helped to kind of educate me about making better choices. So I did the 2 shakes a day and then a meal, and the meal had to be well balanced. I did lose some weight with Herbalife, and it worked for me for a while. So it was definitely a good tool. Now, I mean, I've tried it years down the road and it doesn't really work for me, but it did work for me in the past. So I definitely wouldn't knock it. I did benefit from it, and I love their tea that they have. It's really good. Just the shakes don't fill me up anymore. So it was a good starting point for me. I had lost plenty of weight with it. Like, I was looking pretty good. Like I said, I was also making other eating choices. And then I saw a nutritionist, and he kind of got me off the shakes for the most part. And I was just eating like no dairy, green, sugar. I was pretty restricted to what I could eat. But then that's when the pounds really started coming off. And my family, like I said, they're all a little more heavy set, and we went, unfortunately my grandfather passed away, and we went for his funeral, and everyone's like, oh, she's anorexic, because I was different than my family, and I wasn't anorexic at all. It's just I was making healthy eating choices, and that was hard to hear, that criticism from my family. And you're gonna get that anytime you lose weight. Sometimes people are envious. Sometimes that's just not what they think is a good body figure. Everyone's opinion is going to be different. So it's very important that you're happy and you're doing it to please yourself. So that was a really tough thing to deal with, is my family's criticism. And I got into a relationship after that, and life was just busy. I moved, and I kind of just fell off the wagon. I just didn't have the habits and the structures in place, and I was in a relationship where it was about going out and having fun and eating and, drinking, and I really just fell off the wagon. So about the relationship, I didn't have as much time to work out. I didn't have the discipline at that time to continue to eat the way that I was, because I am a creature of habit, and my habits, my life was changing, so my habits were changing. I moved to California, and being in a new place, it was like all I wanted was comfort food, because everything was crazy. So for a few years, well, I'd say a couple years, I started to pack on the weight, because I'm an endomorph, and that's what happens. I can gain weight really easily. So I tried Weight Watchers. That didn't work for me at all. That was awful. I tried other things. I tried eating low carb. I tried just eating salads every day. I went on a soup diet where I had soup all the time, and there just wasn't anything that was really working for me. And I was going to the gym. I was working out every day almost. I even tried doing P90X, and I got really good at P90X. The workouts were really tough. I cannot walk after plyometrics day. But I was doing that. I was waking up every morning. I bought an elliptical for my apartment. I was doing everything, but still not losing it. And I think that at that time, it had a lot to do with my emotions. I just wasn't in a place that I was really happy with really anything in my life. And I didn't even realize, I wasn't even aware of it. I was just kind of an autopilot, and you have to be focused, and also your emotions can make you gain weight, especially if you're an emotional eater. So when I would have a bad day, I would turn to food. And I have to say that I'm honestly a food addict. There are certain things that are triggers for me. I love Oreos, but Oreos are a serious trigger. I imagine that is what heroin is to a drug addict, an Oreo is to me. Once I can't stop. And it's not just Oreos. It's not oh, I'll just eat the whole thing. I will go on a binge, and nothing is satisfying. So I have to be really careful about the food choices that I make. And when I walk through a store and I see Oreos, I'm oh, Oreos, I can just have one. I can do it. I can just get a small pack and I can just have one. But I can't, because I've learned there's just no way that I can. Sorry, little rant on the side there. Back to it. So emotionally, I just wasn't really in a great place, and I didn't have support at the time. I was away from my family in the relationship I was in. I didn't have support as far as someone who was going to help me eat the right foods. I would try to eat better, but then it's he would bring home fast food, and then I would be oh, well, I can smell it and I want it. And so then it just kept me off track. So I didn't have the support that I needed to eat the right foods. It's I was buying the groceries that were healthy and trying to stick to that, but then the person that I was living with was bringing home junk food all of the time. And so it was there, and so I found myself eating those foods, or he would bring home fast food and I could smell it and I really wanted it, and so then I would just give in. And then as soon as I ate it, then I was oh, well, I already ate something bad, so why not eat something? And it was that thing that people do all the time. They're oh, it's okay, I'll start again on Monday. I'll start again. So every Monday I was starting over, and by Wednesday I was failing. And so at a certain point you just give up, and everybody's body is different, and the person that I was with would talk to me everybody's body was the same, and they would always be critiquing me, and it just put me in like a place where I just wasn't confident at all. Like I started losing my confidence as a person altogether, and then I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to be criticized, and then emotionally more I wanted to eat because I felt like the only support that I had. So it was just a really hard time for me, and it took me a long time to learn that. So it wasn't until I actually ended that relationship that I was able to get really back into fitness and focus to where I needed to be. So it's a testimony to, if you want it, you'll do it and you'll make it happen, because the situation that I was left in, I had to work 2 jobs. So I was working 2 jobs and I was working out. So I just made the time for it. I would spend my 1 day off a week grocery shopping and food prepping. And where it started was actually with juicing. I decided to try a juice cleanse. So that was an interesting experience. And if you're just looking, if you really truly just want to cleanse, you're not looking for weight loss, then I would recommend something like that. I do have to say it feels pretty miserable because you are so hungry when you're doing a juice cleanse. So you definitely have to have willpower there. Like, I don't even like potato chips, and I was craving potato chips. I wanted anything solid. I was like, please just give me some food. I'm just so hungry. But I lived through it. So, and oddly enough, I did it again. So the first time I did it for 3 days, and then I think the next time I did it for 5 days, and then I tried it for 7 days, and that was miserable. That was just too much. So when you go through a juice cleanse, you are exhausted. You are just so tired. It's hard to make it through your day at work. I do have to say, you feel better when you're all done. There are some benefits to your skin, kind of clearing everything out. It gives your body time to kind of get rid of everything that was in there. So I don't regret doing it. It's not something I would ever do again, where I don't foresee myself doing. At that time, I just didn't really know where to go. And so I reached out to a friend that I know in San Diego, and I saw that she was going through some fitness changes, and she actually started competing, and I just admire her so much. So I reached out to her and I said, hey, can you give me any tips? And she recommended a book called It Starts With Food. And it's about a paleo type diet. And so I got the book and I looked into it. It's called The Whole30, and I did it. And I really started to see a lot of changes. Mentally, I felt better. Physically, I felt better. I couldn't work out for a while. It was still like energy fluctuations were a little bit difficult to deal with, but I was doing what I could. So It Starts With Food was a really good book. It was very educational. It told me about how foods affect our body, and there's just so much valuable information there that I use throughout my life now even. So totally recommend the book, even if you're not wanting to do the paleo lifestyle. I just recommend that book just for all the information that's in it. There's also some recipes in there, but it was definitely a good experience. So I got to day 21 and I went camping with my family and my friends, and you can't really diet while you're camping, I learned. It is very hard to eat fresh foods while you're camping because you're very limited. Like, you don't have, obviously refrigerators, those sorts of things. So it was tough. I ended up falling off the wagon while I was out on my trip. But as soon as I came back, I started all over. And you have to do it for 30 days. So I started the commitment all over. And after I did 30 days, I felt so great. And I was getting so many compliments in the changes that I was seeing. And people would ask me, what are you doing? So I was feeling really good, so I actually was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this longer. So I did it for 60 days, and then I think what they have you do is introduce certain foods back in at a time to see how your body responds to them. It's almost like a reset. So you add in foods, like one day you'll add in dairy and see how that does, and then you'll go back to eating clean and give it a couple days. And then the next time you'll add in legumes and see how your body responds. That way you get a feel for how your body reacts to things. So that was a really good experience overall. I learned a lot from Whole30, and while I don't do it all of the time, I still have that knowledge base, and I do take parts of that into consideration with my everyday eating. So about my fitness journey and weight loss and all of that, and I hope to include some pictures at the end of the video so you can see the stages that I've been at, and kind of see, because a lot of times you see people and it's like, oh, sure, you look great, and you don't get to see the struggle that they went through. So I've been kind of iffy about sharing those photos, but I think it's for the best. So I'm glad that I made the changes that I did, because every time that I see those pictures, I kind of cringe. So please be easy on me when I share those photos with you. But I hope to share those at the end. Anyways, I was talking about Whole30, and I really did enjoy that, but for me, it wasn't a way that I could see myself living forever. It is a very strict way of eating, and I was looking into bodybuilding, and when I was doing all of this research, I found out I needed some of the foods that were restricted in the Whole30, and I have to tell you, I was really nervous to incorporate them back in, just because I was fearful. I was afraid of gaining the weight back, and I just had to take that leap of faith, and I started eating brown rice and oats, and still things that are pretty good. It was just learning how to eat them and when to eat them, and still what to avoid. So I still try to avoid processed foods as much as possible. But with adding those foods in and then following a pretty regular workout plan, I was surprised how quickly my muscles started to grow. I was so excited. Seeing those changes in the gym really inspired me, and it inspired other people too. I would have my friend Christy go with me, and people would ask me like, are you a trainer? And I'm like, no, we just work out together. So that was really flattering for people to say that. But it was nice to pull other people into my journey as well, and I hope that you guys will join as well. Nothing makes me happier than helping other people do the same thing, and that's one of the reasons that I'm doing this channel, is because I want to share the knowledge that I have, share the experience that I've had, and hopefully you guys can learn from it as well. Anyways, back to what I was saying. So I was doing this bodybuilding program, and I was seeing results, and I was so ecstatic about it, the way that my body was changing. And on top of those 2 jobs, I decided to go to school. So with school, I still kept with it for the most part. I was still making changes. And then I did get into another relationship, luckily with somebody who is supportive and kind of has those same goals. Now, living as far away from each other as we did, there was some transporting that would have to happen on the weekends, so I wasn't sticking to my plan as much. But I was still working out, because luckily I found someone who likes to work out with me, and also somebody who is supportive of my eating habits. So they're not gonna bring fast food around me, or, you know, dangle that carrot in front of me. Well, cake or something like that, because obviously we can eat carrots. But it was just good to have that support. So I still stuck with it. But again, got into a relationship, so I was home more. I went through a job change. That was really difficult. I actually went through a couple of them. I was promoted and I just didn't have work-life balance. I was at work and I was being pulled in 10 different directions during the day and I wasn't getting my job done. So after the office would close, I'd stay there for hours working so I could try to put a dent in my work. And I was so tired by the end of the day and it was so late, I didn't get to go to the gym. I didn't have time for food prep. I was not eating throughout the day. I was so busy, I didn't even have time to eat. So then by the time I was off work, I was starving and I would just kind of get whatever I could quick. And that was really difficult. I actually went through some things there that I'll share in another video as well, but I finally just said, like, this isn't healthy for me. I can't continue to do this. This is not the job for me. Like, I need a change. So I actually made a career change in the middle of that, and that job actually wasn't the job for me either. And it was really stressful, and I went through a lot of anxiety, and the anxiety made me so tired and so sick. Again, I wasn't working out like I needed to, and I would literally get so sick that I couldn't eat a lot of the time, so I couldn't fuel myself for my workouts. My workouts would be so short even when I did work out because I was so exhausted. So again, I decided I needed to make a change, and I did that. And after I got settled in my new position, about a month and a half later, I decided, okay, it is time. Like, I'm in a comfortable place, I'm happy in my job, I'm happy in my relationship, like everything is good in life, I'm ready. And I waited for my birthday to pass because I knew that I wanted to celebrate my birthday without any restrictions. And I got started. I did a Whole30 again, and I recruited 2 people at work to do it with me. They made it through 10 days. So, I mean, that was awesome for them to even make it through 10 days. And then they were like, we just can't do it. But they still, one of them still does eat pretty well. She sticks to a plan, and I am so proud of her. She's lost a lot of weight. She's really working towards her goals. And I love that. And I love that I was able to inspire her to do so. So good for her. Go Shaniqua. And after the Whole30, again, it's not something that I wanted to do forever. I did want to get back into the bodybuilding portion of it, or possibly even thinking about competing. So we moved. So that happened in there as well. I was just trying to do whatever I could between our home gym. I used to have to drive like 30 minutes to go to a gym, but I would make it happen. I would take my stuff to work. I would stop at the gym on the way home. I just was committed. I made that commitment. I knew what I wanted, and I was willing to work towards it. So I was working on that, and then I came across the challenge, a 30-day challenge I signed up for. And I took my before pictures. I got this meal plan and workout plan, and I stuck to it, and I made a lot of progress in the 30 days. I didn't win the competition, which was kind of a bummer, but I did still win because I saw the changes in my body, and I was very excited about that. And sometimes when I'm at the gym, people will ask me, oh, do you compete? And I'm like, no. So then I started thinking, maybe I should compete. And I started kind of putting my feelers out there and asking people. I met a lady at the gym, and she has been in fitness for forever, and she's done several competitions, and she was one of the people who had asked me if I competed. So I kind of started asking her about the cost of things. And I have a friend who's also a coach in San Diego, and so I reached out to her. Unfortunately, the options that they had just weren't affordable. Like, I couldn't fit it into my budget. So I was still trying to research and do everything that I could on my own. But I knew that I needed somebody with a little bit of knowledge. And luckily, God blessed me and sent me somebody to talk to. And through that, I met with her and she became my coach. And so I started training for it, and I saw a lot of changes in my body over a short amount of time. And it's funny because I wasn't really seeing them. It wasn't until I was going for like my measurements and things, and I was, you know, being held accountable, but also having that support and someone showing like, oh my gosh, this progress you made has been huge. This is really good. You guys have to put aside the scale sometimes, because I actually gained weight. I probably gained like 10 pounds, which can be scary if you're looking at a scale, but I've learned over the years that the scale number is not what matters. It's how your clothes are fitting, it's your measurements, it's all of those things. So put the scale away and just focus on how you're feeling and the other ways that you're seeing results. What are you seeing? Not just the number on the scale. So I was talking about my coach that I met and being held accountable and seeing the results with someone else. That is truly priceless, because in moments that I wanted to give up, I would go and I would see my coach and I would talk to her, and just having that support and then seeing where I had started and how far I had come, and just hearing it from somebody who does it all the time that my results were good, was so inspiring, and it really helped keep me motivated, having someone there to give me that information, because I wasn't really seeing anything, especially around my menstrual cycle. Like, I don't know what goes on in my head. I get a little crazy or something, and I just swear I look like a beach whale or something. I guess that's normal for women though. Hormones play tricks on your brain. So I started training for the competition, and I work really hard now. I do weights 4 or 5 days a week when I was doing it, but then I also had cardio, and even on my rest days, they were active rest days, so really there's no days off. And eating is a job in itself, between shopping, food prep, and then meal timing. So it is a lot of work. It's definitely like a second job when you're training for a competition. I actually had an injury in the middle of it. I got tendonitis in my ankle, and oddly enough, it was on my rest week. So the week that I was taking off from weightlifting is actually when I hurt myself doing some yoga. So just be careful when you're stretching. Make sure you don't overstretch things. And then, I don't know why I do this, but instead of, I'm like, oh, it'll be okay. And then I went hiking, which just made it worse. So I just need to learn to take a break. With the tendonitis, I just couldn't, it kept getting worse, basically. And I went to the orthopedic doctor, and I had my x-rays. He told me it was tendonitis. I'm like, okay. Everything that he told me to do, I did. I was icing, I was elevating my foot, I was wearing the compression brace, I was massaging this lidocaine cream on it, I was taking my anti-inflammatories, and it just wasn't really getting better. So I decided to recruit some other help. So I talked to my coach, and she provided me, she recommended a supplement called Beautiful Legs. So I went to Vitamin Shop and picked that up. And then, I apologize if I say this wrong, Picogenol is another one that she recommended for me. Again, Vitamin Shop that I got it. So that helped a little bit. I was also massaging it, and then I went to a medical massage therapist, and that was the best help that I got. He is just amazing. I mean, just don't underestimate the ability of a medical massage therapist, or a massage for that matter. It is so good for you, and it's what finally helped me to start to get better. My ankle's still not 100%, and until it is, I can't do any cardio. I couldn't do any leg workouts for like a month and a half. So that was a big bummer. So naturally it put my training on hold, and I wasn't able to compete in May like I wanted to, but that's okay. I think that everything happens for a reason. Initially I was very depressed about it though. It was really hard. Anytime that you're working so hard for something and there's an interruption, it's just tough. And I know that dealing with that can be really difficult, because I had a difficult time. Again, I'm an emotional eater, so it made me just want to eat. And I have still been good about things, but I have bad days, and I've been much more flexible with my eating and my cheat meals or cheat days. I just haven't been as strict as I would usually be. But I am getting back on track. I do think that I will compete in the future. Probably not anytime this year, maybe next year. But today I am starting. So earlier, before we did this video, I took my measurements. I took my before pictures. I did my body fat testing. I'm 21% body fat right now. So I'm looking forward to the results that are to come, and I wanted to share it with you. So I'll be checking in each week and let you know how things are going, kind of the progress that I'm seeing. So initially I'm going to be working on strength, so it's going to be natural for me to start looking actually bigger in a sense, and not necessarily in a good way. I'll be basically almost like bulking, so I'll look puffier, but that's okay, because eventually once I have that muscle and then I get to the point where I'm leaning out, it will all be worth it. But right now, definitely gonna work on that strength and getting my muscles going. Now I do have some restrictions just because I'm still having the issue with my ankle, but that's also just a message that just because you have something doesn't mean you have to quit working out altogether. There are alternative things that you can do, and it's actually good for your body to work out in different ways. So I also wanted to stress the importance of stretching and foam rolling, because your body needs those things, and you should always be doing a good warm-up, but don't push your muscles past a point of comfort. You have to know your boundaries. You have to know your body when you're working out. And I know that some people just want to push out as much weight as they can, or stretch as far as they can, because they think that, okay, I'm just gonna push it and it's gonna do. You don't want to damage yourself. You don't want to hurt yourself, because if you do, it's just gonna set you back even farther. So please be careful with what you're doing. It's not about looking cool in the gym. You really have to have that connection with your body and trust your body and respect it, because usually when it's giving you pain or a zing or something like that, it's a warning sign. So please be in tune with your body when you're working out. Make sure that you're warming up your muscles and that you're stretching afterwards. It's really for the best. I mean, this is the only body we got, so take care of it. And remember to love yourself, because your mental state through the whole process is really important. We're all gonna have bad days. I have bad days where I look in the mirror and I don't like what I see, and my significant other tells me otherwise, and I'm like, really? That's what you think I look good today? Because I think I'm having a bad day. But it's just because we see ourselves differently, and you have to love yourself and love who you are right now to get to where you want to be, and don't try to please other people. I am my own competition. I'm never gonna look like other people that are out there. They're different body types. We're not cut from the same thread. So I'm my biggest competition. And sometimes I forget that, and I always need to remind myself. I'm also going to do a video on motivation in the future, so I look forward to sharing that with you guys. If you guys have any questions, please share them with me. I hope that this helps you guys in any of your fitness journeys. If you have any questions, again, please comment below. Hey guys, Esti-Fit here. So, as I mentioned in my 4-part series of my weight loss journey, I have to say, honestly, pretty nervous about sharing, because it's hard to put yourself out there. There's been so many times I wasn't, happy with my body and the way that it looked, and some of those pictures I just wanted to burn. Like half of them, there are pictures that I don't have anymore. Like I didn't even want them around. I didn't want that reminder. So, like I said, I'm nervous to share it with you guys, but I think that I want to, because I want you guys to see where I come from. And I may not be the fittest girl out there. I am not competition status right now, but that's because I'm different and I've come a long way. I've worked really hard to be where I'm at right now, and I am a work in progress. I am working towards being in better shape. I'm not gonna look like a lot of people out there, like I said, because of my genes. I'm probably more have the body type of like a power lifter or something. Like that's probably what's ideal for me, but that's not really what I want right now. So I'm going to fight my genetics. I'm going to fight for what I want, and I'll get there. I know that I will. It's just gonna take some time. It's probably gonna take me a little bit longer than people with other body types, but that's okay. I wanna show you where I come from. I know a lot of people put their pictures out there and they're sharing their story after they're completely done, but I'm halfway through my transformation and I want to take you through the rest of it. I want you to see the changes. So I'm gonna show you my fluctuations through the years that I talked about. So I've been through many cycles, like I said, so it's been a little bit of a roller coaster. So I'll try to post those in chronological order, so that way you can see and see how easy it is. Like once you're fit, you're not gonna be fit forever. You can't just stop working. There's no magic pill. There's no magic process. You have to do the work. And if you wanna maintain it, you have to continue to do the work to maintain it. And actually, when you get to the point where you are, it's not even easy to maintain it. Like you have to keep your body guessing. So there's a lot of science that's involved in it. And again, it's a reason that I would recommend a coach or even someone else. I mean, a workout buddy is always great as well. Someone else to help you measure your progress. So work with what you got. So I'm gonna take a moment. I'm gonna show you these pictures so that way you guys can see. See you back in a sec. that's me. That's where I've been. Not always flattering photos, but that's me. And I do want you to know that none of those photos are photoshopped. That's all me. So the good, the bad, the ugly, the cute, you know, it's everything. So I'm really looking forward to taking this journey. Like I said, I am a work in progress. And I'm gonna try different things over different times. I mean, knowledge is power. I'm always researching. I'm always testing my body to see what works best for it. Because what works for me may not work for you. And what works for you probably won't work for me. Everybody's body is different. And you just have to adapt to that. Different things are gonna work different for different people. So I have my own science project, and I have people to help me experiment. But I hope that you guys can take this journey with me. Let's do it together. Let's get fit together, and don't compare yourself to anyone else, because you know where you came from. You know the progress that you're making, and you should be appreciative of that. And each milestone that you make should inspire you to keep going. There are amazing transformations out there, just amazing. And I look at those sometimes, and that inspires me to keep going. I love it when I see someone at the gym who is obviously just starting out. Like, I've seen some people who are probably like twice my weight, like doing burpees like crazy. And I'm like, I can't do that many burpees in a row. So I love seeing those people at the gym. I love seeing people inspired and doing their own thing. And I just wanna like go up and hug them and help them and do whatever I can, because I want everyone to experience what I've experienced. Just that natural love for yourself, taking care of yourself, getting yourself to a better place. And if you guys have any questions or concerns, or you ever just need some support, I'm here. So thanks again for watching, everyone. And I hope that you liked my pictures to see kind of where I came from. Again, really nervous about that, but I hope it's helpful to you. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.